The second reading this Sunday comes from Paul's letter to Philemon. Rather than addressing a whole community as in his letters to the Romans and his two letters to the Corinthians, this letter is addressed more personally to one of his friends, Philemon, who probably lived in the city of Colossae. The letter mentioned Onesimus, who was a slave of Philemon. Onesimus had run away from Philemon, and he found shelter with Paul. Paul sent Onesimus back to Philemon with the message that we heard today in the second reading. Paul spoke of Onesimus' status as a slave. Slavery was a prevalent practice in the Roman Empire, and the institution of slavery pre-existed the empire and continued for many centuries afterwards. Paul did not condemn the practice of slavery or Onesimus' status as a slave in his letter, but his affectionate and persuasive words began to introduce a new understanding of the relationship between Philemon, the master, and his slave Onesimus. He was away from you for a while, that you might have him back forever, no longer as a slave, but more than a slave, a brother, beloved especially to me, but even more so to you as a man and in the Lord. Philemon was encouraged to accept Onesimus back into his household as a brother, as man, and in the Lord. Paul presented Onesimus as a fellow human being and as a co-disciple of the Lord Jesus. These words of Paul sowed the seeds of the gospel in the hearts of Philemon and in the primitive stages of the church's history. We do not know if Paul's letter to Philemon persuaded the master of Onesimus. We know that the teaching of Paul bore much fruit in the moral teachings of the church. Paul's convictions would lead the church to recognize the innate dignity of the human person and condemn the practice of slavery as a violation of God's creative design. No matter our race, culture, or economic condition, we are all made in the image and likeness of God. We must see one another as brothers and sisters, children of the one merciful Father. The kernel of gospel truth which Paul proclaimed took time to develop, grow, and come to full clarity. Even in our own country, the institution of slavery existed since before its founding. While our founding document, the Declaration of Independence, declared that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Making these statements a reality took much time, toil, and turmoil before they would be applied to all God's children. When Lincoln promulgated the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing the slaves on January 1, 1863, it took until June of 1865, 900 days, before it was implemented in Texas. These reflections on the words of St. Paul remind us of the essential practice of patience in living the Christian life and being the disciples of Jesus. Some might presume that Patience means resignation, resigning oneself to the way things are. Christian patience is not resignation. Christian patience is the practice of hope. We believe in the gospel and place our hope in Jesus. He will fulfill the prayer he taught to his disciples. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Patiently practicing hope. We follow the teachings and manners of Jesus, even if the society in which we live rejects the Lord's gospel of good news. When we ourselves fail to live up to the gospel mandates, we still do not despair. We ask the Lord's pardon, make amends, and renew our desire to be his faithful disciples. Segregation was long a part of the institution of slavery. This demeaning practice endured many more decades after the Emancipation Proclamation, until the Supreme Court overturned the practice in their landmark decision of Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954. That decision caused an uproar throughout the country. With time, toil, and turmoil, much progress has been made in fulfilling the admonition of Paul to Philemon. Receive Onesimus as a brother, beloved especially to me, but even more so to you, as a man and in the Lord. There is still much work to do in this. In society and in our own personal lives, Christian patience is an essential virtue so that Christ may grow to full stature in each of us as well as our communities. With the practice of Christian patience in mind, St. Paul told the Galatians, let us not grow tired of doing good, for in due time we shall reap our harvest if we do not give up. This coming November 8th, citizens are all encouraged to go to the polls for the national and state elections. The first measure on the California ballot will be Proposition 1, a state initiative to put the practice of abortion in the state constitution. This measure is an extreme effort to expand the practice of abortion in the state, including even children in the third trimester of pregnancy. This means that children can be aborted up to the moment of birth. The inclusion of this measure in the state constitution will compel the use of more taxpayer funds for abortion. The measure does nothing to provide better maternal care for women and children. Proposition 1 will further normalize abortion in its most extreme form. This is beyond what most Californians would accept. Please give your prayerful consideration as you go to the polls this November and vote no on Proposition 1. The discarding of a human life should never be seen as the solution of a problem. Life begins at conception. We believe this because of what St. Paul has taught us. Science and technology confirm these long-held convictions. With patience and perseverance, many people of faith have accompanied women and children both personally as well as through many effective charitable organizations. Over the years, we have made the difference in helping women to choose life for their children. So let us not grow tired of doing good. This Labor Day weekend, we honor all the good and industrious labors of men and women that have helped build this nation. Let us also remember our duty to perform the labor of love and life that can help us embrace the most vulnerable, especially the unborn, as brothers and sisters in the Lord.